Today, let's start to talk about the world of 1398. The year is 1398. Across continents, the medieval world stands at a turning point. Great empires are rising, ancient kingdoms are struggling, and ambitious rulers are reshaping history. In China, the death of the Hongwu emperor leaves the newly founded Ming dynasty facing an uncertain succession that will soon erupt into civil war. In India, the fearsome conqueror Timur marches toward Delhi, bringing one of the most devastating invasions the subcontinent has ever experienced. Across Europe, England's King Richard II faces a growing political crisis that will soon cost him his throne, while France remains scarred by the long and destructive 100 Years' War. To the southeast, the Ottoman Empire continues its steady expansion across the Balkans, becoming an increasingly powerful force between Europe and Asia. In Scandinavia, the recently formed Kalmar Union is beginning to unite Denmark, Norway, and Sweden under a single crown, changing the balance of power in northern Europe. Meanwhile, in Central Asia, Timur's vast empire has reached the height of its military power, stretching across much of Asia through relentless conquest. And in Japan, the Ashikaga shogunate governs from Kyoto, while powerful regional lords compete for influence, laying the foundations for future conflicts. These events, unfolding thousands of miles apart, would shape the destiny of nations for generations to come. This is the story of the world in 1398. Now our journey begins in China, where the death of the Hongwu emperor would change the course of Chinese history. By 1398, China had undergone one of the greatest transformations in its history. Just 30 years earlier, the Mongol-led Yuan dynasty had ruled the empire, but after years of rebellion and unrest, Zhu Yuanzhang, a former peasant and Buddhist monk, defeated the Mongols and founded the Ming dynasty in 1368, restoring Han Chinese rule. Over the next 3 decades, the Hongwu emperor rebuilt a nation devastated by war. He restored farmland, repaired irrigation systems, encouraged agriculture, and introduced the Weisuo system, establishing self-sufficient military garrisons across the empire. He also strengthened the central government by making Nanjing the imperial capital and abolishing the office of chancellor, ensuring that all major decisions rested with the emperor. However, Hongwu ruled with deep suspicion. Fearing corruption and rebellion, he launched harsh political purges against officials and generals. Thousands were executed, creating a climate of fear that secured his authority but weakened trust within the government. In 1398, the Hongwu emperor died after a 30-year reign. Instead of passing the throne to one of his surviving sons, he named his grandson Zhu Yunwen, who became the Jianwen emperor. Although he inherited one of the world's strongest empires, powerful imperial princes still commanded large regional armies. The greatest threat came from Zhu Di, the Prince of Yan. As the young emperor tried to reduce the prince's power, tensions quickly escalated into the Jingnan campaign, a civil war that would reshape the Ming dynasty. Zhu Di would eventually seize the throne as the Yongle emperor, move the capital to Beijing, build the Forbidden City, and send Admiral Zheng He on his famous treasure voyages, transforming China into one of the world's greatest powers in the 15th century. Imagine standing outside the walls of Delhi in the winter of 1398. The air smells of smoke long before you see the flames. A conqueror from Central Asia is coming. His name is Timur, known in Europe as Tamerlane. By now he has already carved out an empire stretching from Persia to Mesopotamia. Wherever his armies march, cities either surrender or they disappear from history. His reputation travels faster than his horses. Now his eyes are fixed on India. The invasion begins as Timur's army crosses the mighty Indus River. Thousands of experienced cavalry thunder into Punjab. These aren't ordinary soldiers. They are battle-hardened veterans who have spent decades conquering kingdoms across Asia. Fast, disciplined, and terrifyingly efficient, they overwhelm town after town with little resistance. As news spreads, panic races ahead of the invaders. Villages empty overnight. Refugees clog the roads leading toward Delhi. Everyone has heard the stories. Towers built from human skulls. Entire cities erased as warnings to others. Then comes one of history's strangest battlefield decisions. Before facing the army of the Delhi Sultanate, Timur realizes he has captured tens of thousands of prisoners during his march. He fears they could revolt during the coming battle. His solution is brutally simple. He orders their execution. In a single day, thousands of captives are killed before the battle even begins. A chilling reminder that for Timur, fear is as valuable a weapon as steel. The armies finally clash outside Delhi. The Sultan's forces field heavily armoured war elephants, hoping the giant beasts will crush the invaders. But Timur has fought unusual enemies before. He orders camels loaded with burning bundles to advance toward the elephants. Terrified by the flames and smoke, many elephants panic, turn around, and charge back into their own ranks, throwing the Sultan's army into chaos. The battle is over faster than anyone expected. Delhi lies defenceless. What follows becomes one of the darkest chapters in the city's long history. For days, violence consumes the capital. Homes are looted, markets burn, priceless libraries, workshops, and neighbourhoods vanish into smoke. Countless civilians lose their lives as one of the richest cities in the medieval world is reduced to devastation. Timur never intended to rule India permanently. After gathering unimaginable wealth, he simply marches home, leaving behind a shattered capital and a broken sultanate. Delhi survives, but its authority does not. The once powerful Delhi Sultanate is left weakened, divided, and struggling to recover. The consequences echo for generations. Regional kingdoms grow stronger as central authority collapses. More than a century later, another Central Asian ruler, Babur, a descendant of Timur, will follow a similar path into northern India. In 1526, he founds the Mughal Empire, forever changing the history of the subcontinent. The fires of Delhi in 1398 were not just the end of one era. They were the shadow cast before another empire was born. The year is 1398. Across southeastern Europe, one empire is rising faster than anyone expected. Just 2 years earlier, Sultan Bayezid I had crushed a massive crusader army at the Battle of Nicopolis. European knights had marched east expecting victory. Instead, they suffered a devastating defeat. Bayezid earned a new name, Umi Yildirim, the Thunderbolt. Now the Balkans are falling under Ottoman control. Serbian princes submit. Bulgarian lands are absorbed into the empire. Local rulers face a brutal choice: surrender and survive, or resist and be destroyed. One by one, many choose survival. Only one great prize remains. Constantinople, the once mighty Byzantine capital, is surrounded. Its legendary walls still stand, but beyond them, the Ottomans control nearly everything. The city is isolated, waiting for the siege everyone believes is coming. The Ottoman army has become one of the most effective fighting forces in the world. Elite janissaries, disciplined cavalry, and skilled engineers move with remarkable speed. Every campaign makes the empire stronger, and every victory spreads fear across Europe. Kings and nobles watch nervously. Church leaders call for new crusades. Merchants wonder how long the old balance of power can survive. For many Europeans, the Ottomans no longer seem like a distant threat. They're becoming an unstoppable force. But history is about to deliver an unexpected twist. Far to the east, another conqueror is expanding just as quickly, Timur. His armies have swept across Persia and Central Asia, and now they're moving west. Two of history's greatest military commanders are on a collision course. In 1398, the Ottoman Empire appears unstoppable. Yet the closer Bayezid comes to ultimate victory, the closer he moves toward the greatest challenge of his reign, a clash that will shake the empire and delay the fall of Constantinople for more than half a century. The year is 1398. In London and Paris, life goes on beneath towering cathedrals, crowded markets, and royal palaces. Merchants haggle. Ships unload cargo. Craftsmen fill the streets with noise and industry. But beneath the surface, both kingdoms are dangerously unstable. In England, King Richard II sits on the throne. Intelligent, ambitious, and increasingly suspicious of his enemies, he has spent years battling powerful nobles. Trust is disappearing from the royal court. Then comes a decision that will change English history. Richard exiles his cousin Henry Bolingbroke. At first it seems like a routine political move. One troublesome rival sent away. Problem solved. But history loves irony. The man being pushed out of England will soon return to seize the crown itself. Across the Channel, France faces an even deeper crisis. King Charles VI suffers from episodes of mental illness. At times he cannot recognise his own family. At others he believes he is made of glass and might shatter, if touched. With the king unable to govern consistently, powerful nobles compete for influence. Rival factions manoeuvre for control. Alliances form and break. The kingdom grows increasingly divided. All of this unfolds while the 100 Years' War continues to cast its long shadow across Western Europe. Entire generations have grown up knowing nothing but conflict between England and France. Yet even amid war, commerce refuses to stop. Trade routes remain busy, ports expand, wealth flows through cities. Merchants often prove more practical than kings. It is a strange contradiction. War drains kingdoms, trade enriches them. In 1398, few people realise how close both countries are to major upheaval. Within a year, Henry Bolingbroke will return from exile and become King Henry IV. A generation later, a young peasant girl named Joan of Arc will emerge and help change the course of the war. For now, London and Paris continue their daily rhythms. But the foundations beneath both kingdoms are already beginning to crack. The year is 1398. While kings fight across Europe and empires rise in the east, a different story is unfolding in the frozen north. One remarkable woman is changing history. Her name is Queen Margaret I. Through diplomacy, determination, and political skill, she has united the crowns of Denmark, Norway, and Sweden under a single ruler. The Kalmar Union is not yet a peaceful kingdom. Old rivalries still simmer beneath the surface, but together the Nordic realms are far stronger than they were apart. Power is no longer measured by armies alone. It also travels by sea. Across the Baltic and North Sea, merchant ships sail day and night. The Hanseatic League links dozens of trading cities into a vast commercial network. Timber, iron, grain, furs, cloth, and salt move between ports, bringing wealth to towns that were once little more than fishing villages. Further south, the Teutonic Knights tighten their grip on the Baltic coast. Castles rise above the shoreline, guarding trade routes as fiercely as they defend the faith. In medieval Europe, commerce and conquest often sail in the same ship. The scars of the Black Death are still visible, but Europe is slowly healing. Fields are cultivated once more. Markets grow busier. Towns expand behind sturdy walls. Across the continent, skilled stonemasons raise magnificent Gothic cathedrals, their soaring spires reaching toward the heavens, a symbol of both faith and renewed confidence. It is a quiet transformation, not driven by conquest, but by trade, innovation, and resilience. Few people in 1398 realize it, but Europe is beginning to change from within. Prosperity is returning. Cities are growing. Ideas will soon travel as quickly as merchants. The wars are far from over. But beyond the battlefields, the foundations of a new age are already being laid. The Renaissance is still on the horizon, yet its first footsteps can already be heard.